Welcome to Academy of Tone 133.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Today we played some nice AC/DC, which is always a great live piece of music to play live. It's a good energy and it never is outdated, kind of. It always feels and sounds fresh like a good potato soup. You know, nothing too fancy.
Yeah,
You know, if you have these kind of meals that have spices that are so special, if you eat them every day, no good. But if you have something that you can have every day, that's a good meal, and that's a good music, and that's AC/DC.
yeah, exactly. That's why they haven't aged so much.
Yeah, and it's classic. It's classic rock at its best. Just before we go into our touring details, I wanted to show you our AC/DC settings again. And today I was using the Mercury, and I just had a very simple setup. Let me get my phone out of the way. So guitar. So today no switching system. Let's see if the cable. Yeah. So nobody can. So everybody sees cable, guitar, input, output to the blue box, and that's it. The settings are super simple. I'm using the gain on 7, the bass on 7, mids and treble on 5, master volume kind of on 5. But here comes the thing. I was in low gain mode with the vintage channel and put the low gain mode to like half. It's almost the presets. It's even a little less gain than what it is stored into the standard setting. So see, this is what I have been dialing in. The way to do it with a remote is super simple. You dial it in here, then you hold the boost button on the amp, and then while holding this down, press the reverb button, and it will be memorized on the vintage channel, this setting. If you don't have a remote, switch it on while pressing down the boost button, and then it's probably like this, very close. Mm-hmm. So AC/DC needs less gain.
Yep.
That's the message. And your settings, you play a silver. You have an old...
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the silver edition and we can't see it, but I have mini humbuckers, so I required a bit more bass. So the bass on mine is on 10, the mids are on 7, and the treble is on 5, and I'm also on the vintage channel.
Okay. And you use the blue box with the stack 67.
The 67 stack, exactly, yeah.
So
We've taken pictures of all the settings. We will share them on social media for you guys.
So this is the blue box, for those who don't know. And I was on the 1970, like always, and Rich was on the 1967, just to be slightly different.
Yep.
Okay, so far so good about our setup. But today's topic is, I'm back from the tour, a nice tour with Ben Granfeld, who is, well, another very great guitar player. He will have his 20th solo album next year.
20.
20. I don't know how many I did, but maybe 10.
Yeah, not that many.
No.
Is he doing one per year or something?
Well, then he's only 25.
Oh yeah, true.
No.
Yeah, he's not that young, is he?
I don't know. But he's very ambitious when it comes to writing songs and new material, and that's his thing. He wants to release albums and then do a tour and then do another album, do another tour. And we are working on an album, and we will have some more touring with this band, Blug, Granfeld, Engelin, and Tommy Fisher next year. So we've been in the studio and we recorded all the drum tracks. So the day after I was driving to the tour before the first concert, I said to myself, I have to finish and do my contribution to the album, you know, and I didn't have much time. So actually the night before I was driving, during the night I wrote that song last minute, and then of course not enough sleep, but we listened to the song, everybody liked it, and it will be the outro ballad, which has a great melody and of course has some nice interaction of the two guitars.
Yep.
And yeah, so I'm happy that it was worth spending that extra time. Yeah, so that's step one is completed. We have all the drums, we have all the basic tracks. We have a few tracks complete, and then a few kind of halfway and a few rough, but the drums are there, so we can work from home.
Yeah.
And don't need to meet in the studio.
So the drums were recorded live in the studio, and
Yeah.
everything else you can record from home. The bass
Yeah.
player, Ben, as well. Will there be many vocals on the record?
It's half-half. I would say Ben is doing 50%
Yeah.
vocals, and the rest will be instrumentals. And the guys who were coming to the concerts, they could hear some of the new songs already, because, well, we kind of rehearsed them, or if not, we played them. And there's a lot of twin guitar things going on,
Yeah.
harmonies, and it's always like, hey Ben, what did you play? Because if you haven't met for a couple of months or didn't play together, it's like, which voice is yours? And then it's like, okay, Clash, let's check that again. So it requires more work to prepare than my Rock Anarchy, which I love because I have to do nothing. It's anarchy.
Yeah. And who has the final say in the guitar stuff? Is it technically it's a split album, right? The two of you share
Yeah.
billing, so it's like who
Yeah.
has the creative control there? Or is it 50-50?
It's 50-50. We are super democratic. Of course, everybody has a slightly different angle to how we think about it, but we share so much common ground,
Yeah.
so that it's easy. And you know, for me, and I guess for Ben as well, it's kind of a thing that we don't go too stubborn on, like, it's my solo record and I need to have it like that, and if you play that note, I quit. You know, it's not like that. It's more like, okay, yeah, you go first, or you have the first melody, or you know, and it's okay. Even when I wrote the melody and he plays it nice, then you start and I do the second round. Or it's not who's the fastest and the biggest and stuff like that. And I can still do my next solo record being the solo hero myself, and then, you know, the rest of the band is hello. But in this band, it's more about, playing together, communication, and writing together too. It's like he has a few tricks which I kind of find interesting, because he likes to do things like chords or changes. I call this the what is it? The wait a minute. What is it? Harmonic inter. If you fuck, there's my reverb. I played the whole AC/DC with no reverb. We have to do it again. Well, it's dry. Anyway, who cares? Here's my reverb. That's something which will be the topic now. When you go on stage, you have to double check everything before.
Yeah, it's almost like you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Almost.
Harmonic interchange, is this the word?
It's a word.
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong guy. But
Yeah,
yes.
okay. I mean, one of his tricks is something like you have a chord like G major, and then like this, and then he goes, so one bass note, and then you kind of move around with a different chord. like that.
Yeah.
And that brings up like fresh ideas for melodies, like what's going on here? So that's one of the things that his brain works sometimes. It's like
What's Ben's background in terms of theory? Because you had lessons, right? But you taught yourself a lot too. But
Yeah.
was he more a classically trained guitar player?
no,
How
no.
is it with him?
I think he's even more self-trained.
Yeah.
Here's another thing from a. I came up with that shit because I kind of got inspired by how he thinks, like, don't stay in the scale. I mean, the beginning is
Yeah.
all like change. What's going here? Because it should usually be a different chord here, and then this is in key, but this is like. But when you listen with the melody on top of it, it's like, oh yeah, and then it resolves in such a sus chord, and it's like, so. And that's a great example of collaboration because we totally get on thin ice for ourselves, like very abstract. Okay, I get this da, da, melody, and then let's try the chords and let's see how it works. It's like, does this actually work? I have no clue if this chord, like this progression, that's classic, but then this change over there is proper music theory. But somebody will say it was definitely altered.
You know who could tell you exactly what it was and give you a quick Instagram lesson on it? Rick Beato.
Of course, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
that's
like
what
that.
he'd say.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
he'd say. Someone in the comments says modal interchange.
Yeah,
maybe?
modal interchange.
And a couple of others say pedal tone, which I've heard of.
Yeah, the
So
pedal,
I'll credit
the pedal
myself
tone
there,
is
but
when you.
that's when you have a consistent
Yeah,
note
note.
as you go. Right.
But modal interchange is what I meant.
Yeah.
You can do this kind of with a pedal tone, but sometimes you can do it like just moving around major chords. Like Seal is one of the greatest doing that. I mean, he has one chord that he moves all up and down the neck and writes hits with it. It isn't even he doesn't even change like from major to minor where you usually would to fit the key.
Yeah.
No, he just stays in the major key and sings a different note, and it sounds so. Man, this guy is a great composer, and he's just a lazy acoustic guitar player writing hits on it because he makes it work with a nice melody. That is the theory lesson of today.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a few interesting comments coming in. Brian Johnson once said it's like going to the mountains for gold. You can see it from a different angle, but it's always the same rock and roll.
Ah, that's a good point.
He's right.
Hey, there's something that comes up mountain when I compose, and it's a process. You go somewhere, and sometimes you need to be there to know what comes next.
Yeah.
Some people think like it's a linear progress of composing. I think sometimes you have an idea, and then you get stuck because it repeats all the same and nothing happens. And then to get out of this kind of trap, it requires to do something different, which creates interest and tension. But then once you are there, you have to make fresh new decisions how to complete the song.
Yeah.
And that's the way things. It's one way of evolving a composition. In
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah. Yeah. David says the AC/DC are going on a world tour next year. That's news to me.
Wow.
But that's amazing. I've never seen them live.
Rose again, a singer, or who's the screamer?
Maybe Brian Johnson's still doing it.
Yeah.
He did retire, but sort of came back.
Really?
And the cousin of Malcolm and Angus Young is now playing the
rhythm guitar. Yeah.
Davey Young is his name, maybe, or something
Yeah.
like that. And David also says, Rich, I was right. Kiss are coming to Germany again next year on their final world tour, which has been going on for many years already. So yeah, big rock stars coming back next year. And Kiss are another one who have just been playing that sort of stuff for decades, and they're still massive.
Yeah. So that's classic rock and roll, and that's always it doesn't die.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That's a good news.
Yeah,
about
exactly. AL says, please come to Munich with your band. And Max Carton, who's in and is the genuine AC/DC expert.
Is he on?
Yeah, he was. He said, did you use AmpX as a test on some of the gigs?
Not yet, because AmpX is not the very last version. That's on my list for December. So we are working on AmpX currently. I did some changes again, new PCB, and then we had to get this going and working, and then the software needs to get in sync with the new hardware, last revision, and once this is done, I can implement the sounds, and my goal is to play my gigs before December with that AmpX.
Yeah.
So my holy pedalboard that I have been playing for 10 years will soon retire. So, and that maybe brings us into the subject of today, how to prepare gigs. Or do we have any more questions here?
We got lots of nice comments tonight.
Okay, then
very
let's-
good.
let's-
Very happy with the guys for writing so much. Ziggy says he saw you and the band twice at Crefeld. Amazing sounds and great music.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Any news about AmpX? We've just done that.
Yeah, some news.
This is
I
interesting.
gave the MX to Ben, you know.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him.
Without
trying
telling
it.
him how to operate it, just to see how he can handle, you know, the stuff that it's in there and what question he did have. And
Yeah,
not so many. He was kind of happy with his headphones.
yeah. Stevie Young, he's the guitar player. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting question from YMESYDT. That's probably a thing. How committed do you feel to the music as written? This is when playing a cover, I guess. Some players think the original is untouchable and nothing compares, but some think the original recording is just a suggestion. And I know that you, as someone who has a whole Blug plays Hendrix concept around improvisation, thinks that you can be free.
Yeah. So for me, I like. Let's put it that way. Talking about Hendrix, next week I'll do a complete Hendrix episode because Jimmy would have turned 80 at the end of next week.
Yeah.
So next episode here will be my big Hendrix thing with Hendrix guitars, Hendrix pedalboards, with Hendrix all the way. And I do have my band Blug plays Hendrix, and there's one thing that I really learned is, and Hendrix is maybe the best example for it. If you try to play Hendrix 1-to-1, even he himself couldn't do that. When he played a song, Red House Blues for instance, every time it was very different. And this made him so great because he was celebrating the moment, and there was kind of a big wave. He was into this, we play electric church music. This is how he described his whatever performance and music. And you know, depending, when Red House, just as an example, was on the set list, depending on the mood of the band and the spirit in the audience, Red House was super slow or super intense or with many notes or with only a few notes, but it was living in the moment, and this was special every time. Sometimes he was not in good shape because wrong drugs back in the days. I mean, we all know they believed in drugs and other things, but when the moment was perfect, it was a perfect performance.
Yeah.
And so what I learned from that is, if you try to copy that, even if you try to copy the best performance, you don't have the same energy because it's not, I would say, honest. I would feel like an actor.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not the same energy like being authentic.
Yep.
Jimmy was authentic. I mean, of course, we all do our things. So what I learned from Jimmy is be yourself, do it the best you can in the moment and use the energy at the moment.
Yeah.
Because he did that, and that made Jimi Hendrix so exceptional. And since I was playing a lot of pop music in my 20s and 30s as a hired gun in the studio and on tour, I have been driven to perfection a lot, which is another challenge. But I found out my heart and my thing is more to be the guy that lives the moment, and this is why I do my own interpretation of Hendrix, and I have my rock anarchy, which means we play rock standards like a jazz player. It's kind of, yeah, we all know the song, but you never know how this is gonna be sound tonight.
Yeah.
It starts with, and the more freak different style it is, the more fun we have, and the more the audience goes like, yeah.
Yeah. But they get the Hendrix song, and then they get the extra jams
Yeah.
kind of on top. So you're doing both in a way. But I feel like with Hendrix's music as well, it's very psychedelic in nature. And jams and improvisation, they fit into that quite naturally. If we go to a band,
AC/DC.
in contrast like AC/DC,
You
if we
have-
were to play those driving riffs just a bit differently, straight away people would say that's not the right thing.
Yeah, and that's totally correct. AC/DC is built on a solid groove. It is so much groove music, and since the two guitars, everything is arranged in a way that's I mean, it's reduced to the max. There is no fiddling. There is nothing. The fiddling is only in the solo part where there is the freedom, and this is why we can hear different versions, live version, studio version. Angus plays different things, which is great. But the songs they sometimes have different tempos, like faster and slower versions. But to be honest, AC/DC needs to be in the best groove version. And that's probably, you stick to the original because they thought of that a lot.
Yeah, it's funny as well, but you hear a lot of rock bands these days done in kind of an acoustic cover style
Yeah.
on stuff like Instagram or whatever. But now I come to think of it, I don't think I've ever really heard an acoustic Back in Black or If You Want Blood or anything like that, because I guess it just, yeah.
Yeah, I could jam on. I can put 10 songs into one tempo, and then you will find out. This is what I do with rock anarchy, and this would work acoustic. But the thing about the AC/DC, I think the AC/DC chords, they sound very powerful, and they even sound great on acoustic guitar. But acoustic is too nice. AC/DC,
Yeah.
you have to have that screaming guy with that ballsy guitar,
Yeah, I mean-
and that's AC/DC. That's and if you take that away, then you have to go the complete opposite way. Like, okay, let's do it jazz.
Yeah.
AC, and you need a female singer to be totally different, or a
Well,
monk.
AL says there's a Back in Black version by Santana, so that might be quite
Yeah,
jazzy.
I heard the Santana album, and he has done one cover album. There is also a whole lot of love on it. It's not my favorite Santana contribution, to be honest. Santana, my favorite albums. There's a great songs, Europa, Europe, or whatever it's called, and Samba Party and Black Magic Woman, and there's Soul Sacrifice, and that's classic Santana. And even with the singer when he did his comeback. Smooth, or what was the song?
Smooth. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Was it
What is
Rob
Smooth?
Thomas? The
Yeah,
singer?
Rob Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff is great, but that one cover album of Santana, it's okay, but I miss. It's not shining as much as some of his other music. Sorry. Richie Blackmore always has his solos differently, sure. And sometimes these days he's not as good as he was. But I mean, I'm a huge Blackmore fan. When you listen to Blackmore in the early 70s, man, how good this guy was. Unbelievable. I'm still his fan until today.
With solos like that, I mean, you're someone who has a lot of intricate solo music.
Yeah.
This is not my world, really.
Yeah.
I'm all about rhythms. But
Yeah, sure.
do you get bored playing that live day after day with Richie Blackmore? Would he get bored trying to do it? Or would he also even feel pressure sometimes on the famous solos to get it right? So he's like, okay, I'm going to improvise something a bit different, and then no questions.
I know because I played with Tony Carey, who was the keyboard player in Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Yeah.
And he told me many stories about Richie. And he said he keeps the music fresh, Hendrix style. This is what Richie learned from Hendrix. Of course, Rainbow music or Deep Purple music is way more arranged and structured in a more solid way, or maybe even stiff way, compared to the floating Hendrix style. But when it comes to solos, Deep Purple was always a great jam band. And when I listen to albums like Made in Japan, you can hear that energy. I'm so happy that they actually released that album. The band didn't want to release the album because they thought it's a live album, it's not perfect. But that's the real magic of jamming on stage, because they had the songs right and the kind of compact and in your face. And then when it came to the solo, they were exciting and they were experimenting and they took some risks. And then of course some of the stuff was also not as good as the iconic solo of Smoke on the Water on the record or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is better live, and some of the stuff is better on the record, on the studio version. So, but I think these people like Blackmore and a lot of the guys that used to improvise, at least to a certain extent, like Rory Gallagher was also a great improviser. I mean, living the moment, Hendrix style. I mean, okay, I'm referring a lot to Hendrix just to put this in a category. Hendrix was not the only one, to be clear about that. I mean, we talk a lot about Hendrix, but Gallagher, killer, and a lot of the culture in these late 60s, 70s bands, Led Zeppelin too, they had the mixture of great songs and great freestyle improvisations. You know, even when Led Zeppelin, you know, the singers had to play the tambourine for whatever 20 minutes because the guitar player had too much fun, you know. And then, but this is what I like about that era in rock music versus the perfect 80s pop rock. I've done that too. I like that too. But the excitement that I get from a fresh impulse that's happening in a band is like, wow. So, and by the way, now back to Ben. Ben is a bit more structured than myself. I have the rock anarchy, and I always come and say, haha, I try to do something different. And he goes like, maybe we should stick to that version and don't. But I watch the reactions of the audience, and the audience loves what I'm doing or loves that freedom. but having both elements is very nice complementary stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for anybody stepping in right now who didn't hear it before, next week there's going to be a lot more of this
Yeah.
improvisational stuff because Thomas will be doing a Hendrix special because Jimi Hendrix would have turned 80 next week.
Yeah, next week. And then we can talk a lot about all our heroes. That makes maybe sense. It's great that we started this because this makes me think about how to structure next week's episode and how we can look at things. Great thing, but hey guys, let's do that next week and have our prepared kind of topic for today, which is how to check the gear before you go on tour. I'm pretty honest, I haven't prepared that much because I know my stuff is working, but then shit happens. And this is why we came up with this theme. The first thing was Ben asked me to bring a spare guitar. And that was needed desperately because he found a guitar in a case that he had forgotten about for 10 years. Oh, I have a Strat like with this kind of thing. And okay, let's play that on tour. And he was excited to bring this on tour. Since he's from Finland, he flew into Germany and only had one guitar and his little pedalboard, amp1, treble light, or good. And I told him, yeah, I bring a BluGuitar as a spare one, the BluGuitar, which I actually have in the office right now. And then he put on his strings, which are elixirs. I don't like them at all, but he likes them. And he has 10s all the way through. I have 10, 9 hybrids set. Anyway, he's way taller. He puts on his strap. What happened is, I think every night, one of us broke a string. But he was, 90% it was him, and only I broke, on 2 concerts, I broke a string out of 10, maybe. Did we 10? But it's kind of 10-ish. So, but he, it's like, he has such a heart attack when he digs in the strings, it's like, bam. And I didn't put on new strings because I thought, they're still okay. I just played them here in the video studio, so the energy is not as intense. So first gig, I think, bam, he broke a string. He took that guitar, he just plug it in and go on, no problem. Nice. Next day, same thing. And then I hit I was digging in hard, and then I hit 2 strings at the same time. Let's see the picture. Which is unbelievable. I mean, usually, look at this. There is the low E string and the A and the D string, both. I killed them in one stroke. And that's pretty rare, I think.
Yeah, do you remember what you were playing at the time that caused such damage?
No, but this is what can happen.
Yeah.
And so the point I try to make here is be prepared for the unexpected, because breaking 2 strings at once, I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
Of course, I was prepared because I brought my spare guitar.
Yeah.
By the way, can you bring my guitar case? Because then
I can do.
we can do the authentic, what is it? Unboxing would be
Debagging.
debagging.
Which could also be a different thing. But
Yeah, we create new words after debugging, which is the software job that we are doing when we write software.
yeah.
So this is my beloved bag, and I learned that I should have a fresh T-shirt. Yeah, good enough for tomorrow. I have a spare long speaker cable. because that's the thing about using amp 1 on the pedal board. You need a long speaker cable. That helps. There's your mask for COVID, which is not needed anymore. That's good news. We all...
Was there no restrictions on
No,
the tour at all?
No, the restrictions are gone. Nobody got sick. I had it before. So, and here you can see, this is the leftovers of that. I kill 2 strings at once. I do have an extra pack of strings here. And then what's even more important is something like a cutter. So, and what I learned from our summer tour is you better bring a whammy bar. Because in summer I broke the whammy bar, which happens with me like every 10 years. But this is how they look when they're broken. See, there's like no thread left.
Yeah.
And this is...
I don't know if you guys can see that, but it came right off.
Yeah, and it's like... Quack,
10 years of abuse.
Yeah. And then I had to spend like hours to get it out of the block, which is not fun. But since I'm using my Teflon tape around the arm here, like I wind this around the tremolo arm, there is no metal to metal contact with the block. And that helps to get that thing when it sticks inside the block out. In the early days when I didn't have that, sometimes the metal kind of connected with the other metal and it was so tight and you couldn't get it out anymore. And the Teflon is kind of makes it easier to get out of get the rest out. So that's kind of in my bag here. The rest is not important. More strings. Okay. So I put these back in. So repack for the next gig.
Helmut has a cool story. He worked on a rainbow show in 1976.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Doing the rigging. The comment's already gone, so I can't see it anymore, but yes.
Let's talk about, Helmut, let's talk about Rainbow, and the Rockstars next week. So that's something you all would go, is this guy crazy? Because I put my real 61 Strat in one bag with a spare guitar, and there's nothing in between the 2 guitars. So I just put them back to back. Maybe we can show the camera.
Oh wait, I thought that was a standard double electric guitar gig bag.
Oh, this is a single.
This is a single, like, acoustic guitar bag or something.
It's just a bit bigger. It fits 2 Strats. Wait a minute, can we see the inside? Ah, here you can see. So look at this. Just the 2 back plates connect and prevent the guitar from any other issues. So there's my spare guitar, and there is my main 61. So this can go wherever. So and here we can see now the Teflon tape. Maybe the overhead camera can do. Yeah. Can you see that white stuff around? So that prevents the thing. So if I would prepare my guitar perfectly for a tour, which I didn't, I show you what I should have done. There's the cable. Oh, sorry.
Ollie says he doesn't like the bacteria on the guitar. Is it important for the sound?
Maybe.
It's important for the mojo, isn't it?
I have no idea. I just Hey guys, have you seen me sick? Not many times. And that's probably because I collect the bacteria from all over the world with this guitar. I should give this to the medicine guys. They can create their upcoming immune stuff.
It could be the next vaccine booster.
Yeah, it's all in here. I'm
Everyone
sure.
just has to come up and
Yeah.
sniff your
Yeah, it's
guitar
like-
down.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
I'm prepared. I mean, this is so. Okay, what I should actually do to prepare myself properly would de-scratch that pot.
Yep.
I could do so, but it takes a bit, which means I have to take this, and this screw out so I can bend it up a little bit, have that little snoozle, and spray the pot, and it will be okay for another half year, depending on how old the pot is. And the older it gets, the faster it gets scratchy again.
Yep.
So, besides that, put on new string all the way through, and that's all that needs to be done on the guitar. On this guitar. On the other guitar, what I had to do when I was flying to the NAMM show, I used that guitar, and I had to do a neck set. Also a little scratchy. But the main thing I had to do with this guitar, since the climate was so different in Los Angeles compared to Germany, the neck needed needed to be a little tighter. So for that I have my German word is Imbusschlüssel. What is this kind of key?
Hex key or Allen key.
Yeah, Allen key. Yeah. So this kind of thing. And to adjust this on a Strat, you have to loosen the 4 screws on the neck, get the strings loose, lift it up, and give it like a little twist. That can happen because when the neck is not straight, first it plays like not. It's harder to play, but mainly I can play guitars that are not easy to play, but it's not my sound anymore. I need to be. It needs to have that. I need to have that limit of the strings. When it's too clean, it's not my toe. Some people like different setups, but so that's something I need to have in my with me. Some kind of tools for the neck adjustment.
Yeah.
And here we can see, whoa, this is
Is it a bag of bacteria to sprinkle on the guitar?
which I can put in there to make the nut slippery for the strings. So that's stuff that I have in this thing here.
Just as a quick aside, while we talk about this guitar, any news on when there might be more of these available?
Good question. I'm working. I have now 3D measurements of the real one, of the 61, in to the hundreds of a millimeter.
Yeah.
And I'm working on getting samples of that with my dear friend Trevor Wilkinson. It's still an ongoing process. There's 1 or 2 guitar coming from Andreas Kloppmann whenever he has some time, but he has no time. So I have to find a way how to get a bit more volume than 1 guitar every 2 months.
Yeah. And you also have to stop buying the guitars for yourself that come in
because they're all too good.
That's the problem. Yeah.
That's my biggest problem.
Yeah.
And it's like I have like 3 in the office, and it's like I had this on tour, and today I played the ones in the office, and I was like, oh, I think they are even better. So I still cannot decide which one I can let go. So, yeah, well, this is how I am. Yeah, I just love those guitars. And I wish I could buy them from somebody else, but I can't. So, yeah, it's my personal problem. Anyway, one day I will get more of the good guitars and then I can share it with you guys. Okay, that's basically the stuff on guitars. Any questions there?
Nope, just when can they buy them?
Yeah. One thing I can highly recommend if you play Strats with gain is the dummy coil, which is the feature that I added to all my Strats, all my single coil guitars. Yeah. It's getting vintage as well. And this helps. Do we have... Wait a minute. Give me gain. Aha. See? Dummy coil. Wait a minute. Switch off the noise gate.
I was going to say, would you recommend a dummy coil over, let's say, the built-in noise gate here or a noise gate pedal? What's the difference?
It's two different things. Okay, this is the noise gate. I put on all the gain I have, like everything on 10 and the boost all the way up. So, this room is quiet, man. Believe me, if you go and play Bahnhof Püttlingen or Bahnhof, in Germany we all play the train stations, and this is where you have. It's like so, and then this helps a lot.
Yeah.
And then here we have. See, standard.
Yeah.
Dummy coil. So, and then when you have the gate on top, see, that's the standard, and the gate, and this is like, it's quieter. So the gate is already great, but it all adds up. So one thing I always do is I don't turn the volume up. I just turn it up to the point that I need it, and all the rest is closed. That's so important. And with the gate on top, you're dead quiet.
Yeah.
When I switch it off, this is what you get. Huh? And the gate in the Amp1 is so soft. See, I'm modern and it's super sensitive. So yeah, I would recommend to use the gate on soft. Works fine for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And one thing important when you put on strings is you have to stretch the strings. My way is I hold them like with my 3 fingers like this from underneath. Maybe I can put with the overhead camera, or maybe this camera can show it. So it's like around the big E string, and then my thumb presses it down. So, and then I move across the string from, bottom to top or left to right. For the people who have no feel for that, there's a tool where you can kind of do the same thing with this machine. No, it's doing basically the same thing.
Who makes that tool? I've never seen that.
I don't know, but I know Alex Beirut gave me this one. So, guitar is the stretcher. Wait a minute. Where is it? Here, stretcher. Stretcher. And you can get it from guitarslinger.com, I guess.
Is it one of his products?
Yeah.
Alex Beirut product. Okay.
He has tons of things like that, and great H pickguards and knobs and accessories. But I do it because I have my hands with me, and I can. That's the way I do it. But the stretching is so important, because otherwise you put on the string and then after you bend them, still in tune, even
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
So, okay, next pedalboard.
Yes.
Maybe I put it here.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Rich, can you hand me my beloved?
And soon to be in retirement pedalboard.
Yeah, I hope so.
And just before we talk about pedal boards, I know that you don't use a wireless system when you're doing these gigs, but we've had the question
Yeah.
a couple of times. What would you recommend if it comes to using a wireless system for shows? Anything that you can recommend?
There is. Yeah. Okay. Now we are getting serious. Okay, that's the pedalboard. Let me help you a little bit. I'll put this on top here. I hope we can still be in the picture. So the thing about this pedalboard is... Okay, no, let's answer the question of the wireless first. A few things about wireless. The benefit of a wireless is you can move freely on stage. Fantastic. The downside is if you have interference problems, you might face dropouts. Well, there's different frequencies they're working on and so on. The other thing is wireless systems, they don't have some of them have the switchable capacitor to emulate the capacitance of a guitar lead. If you don't use that, or if it's not possible and not your cable style length, you will not find your tone. So that's an important thing. And some wireless even enhance the sound. I mean, AC/DC.
Is the perfect example of that.
Yeah, and this is why, the Storm pedal here is what happened in the wireless, which gives the extra compression and boost, because it's a compounder and expander circuitry. Okay, let me show you my pedalboard and let's see if it's still in pieces, because when I open it on tour, I can tell you what I don't like on this pedalboard and what I do like. So this is like, can you put this aside, please? Aha. Okay, looks pretty okay, but this is what you get when you open your pedalboard case and didn't do that much maintenance. So here's my speaker cable. Just kind of is here. Okay, this goes into my fat cap on stage. Then there is my guitar cable. Oh, that's my power cable. Nice. That goes in my power supply. And there's my guitar cable. So, and as you can see, I'm using a guitar cable which is 6 meters long and has an angled side for my wah-wah, because somebody coming close to my wah-wah pedal with a long plug like that, there is more danger of stepping on that and breaking it. Can we show? So this is the standard guitar plug, and it kind of sticks out a lot more than the angled one. And I've been there many times. Therefore, I changed the input socket on this one to one with a lock. So even this cable, you can, when you do the move on stage, there's your limit.
It's not coming out, basically.
It's not coming out. So, and with the angled plug, I make sure that this. So, but here comes the reality on this board. The Velcro is the last shit. Look, bah. No, I touch it. It's like. And this is, this is the end of summer pedalboard. And here, my remote, the remote, I did something clever with the remote. I removed the bottom plate and I screwed it directly onto this pedal board. That saves weight because I don't have a button anymore, which is real steel to be magnetic, but it's not needed because this kind of sits super strong perfectly in here.
Yeah.
So in this glibbery, greasy, no, it's not greasy, whatever. It's sticky. I'm not a fan of that. So, do we have needles? Yeah. So, what I should do is make this fresh, but I think this will come off very soon again. So, so, but you can see, hey, this is, I'm not the biggest fan because this wah pedal is kind of heavy, you know, and so there's a lot of weight pulling when it's like that.
Yeah. What wah pedal is that, by the way?
It's a George Dennis wah pedal with a true bypass, and it's optical control, like with a photoresistor kind of thing. Pretty modern. It's not the latest modern technology, but it's there is no scratchy pot. You have seen on the guitar, you know, pots in wah pedals get scratchy. When we come to Hendrix next week, I have to get the pots going. Okay, so that's the thing here on the pedal board, and here that I use that Velcro too. It's that's no fun. I mean, the needles are but the glue, you know, this it's just when it's hot and it's in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
It starts to melt, and that's then it's here. See also the tuner, no, it's. So, no, not a very stable construction, Velcro.
No. And I guess how this relates to tonight's topic is normally you would have checked this out in the weeks coming up to the tour and fixed all that so it wasn't a problem during the shows.
But I tell you something, I'm so lazy, I leave it as it is because that pedal board retires soon. Otherwise, probably I get some Patex glue or whatever glue. If you have a comment for what glue I could use, that's, that is better than what I have here. I can do this. This is using Easy Locks. See? The Easy Locks are our magnetic here. And the trick with these is neodymium magnets, and they are screwed onto this pedal board, and they are kind of slightly loose. So when they are totally stiff, they cannot connect 100% with the metal plate on the amp one. So, but no, if it's done properly, it's stable.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the other thing you should do is cleaning your contacts. Look at these dirty, greasy plugs. So get your Dioxide 5 and whatever, spray them a bit. Do I have my Küchenrolle? The Kleenex? Maybe I don't. I thought I brought something. No. Anyway, so then rub it off. Do we have anything? Or toilet paper. Anyway, I don't have, but you know what I mean. You spray it and then you have some cloth and make it dry with that, and then you should do this on all your contacts. just to make sure that that stuff is done. And if you have controls like my blue box that shouldn't be adjusted anymore, you can use duct tape and fix them.
Yep. Or at the very least, write down with a Sharpie what the settings are.
Yeah.
So you can twist them back if necessary.
And this is
Yep.
another story from the tour. You know, Ben said, the first set, I sounded like shit. The room is messy, and what's going on here? I don't feel great. And then I look at his amp and say, hey, your mids are very low. Oh, okay. Boop. He turns back in the mids to whatever, 5, you know, and then the second set was killer. It is just 2 numbers on a single dial. If that's wrong, that's a problem.
Yep.
Or can be a problem.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And with a pedal board like this, you've got how many effects? 7 or 8, 9, 10, whatever. The bigger the board, the more there is
To
that
take
can go
care,
wrong,
yeah.
and the more there is in terms of power and cables. So, have you ever had it happen before that your pedal board is cut out during a show? And if so, what to do?
Well, it never cut out completely, but I show you a few classics that happen with me. Let me connect the pedal cable.
Yeah, maybe we quickly explain what everything is here as
okay.
well for
So
anyone who might not know.
This is my power supply. It's homemade, and the reason for me having my own made power supply is because the Replex needs AC with a lot of current, and then you need some DC for the classic pedals here, like 9 volts. And I couldn't find something, you know, that especially the Replex is a very demanding unit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also this real tube thing here is the tube driver. Chandler, is it Chandler? Yeah, or Aki Butler, or whatever.
RK Butler.
Yeah,
Never heard of it.
yeah. It's a
Does that
classic.
brand still exist?
I don't know, but it's Eric Johnson uses them.
Ah, okay.
So it must be great.
Secret weapon.
Yeah, the secret weapon. So anyway, let's hook it up with the speaker here. And here, by the way, I'm using 8 ohm speaker, and from here, and the blue box here. But on the blue box I have a super thin cable because there is no speaker connected to the blue box. But I have a blind, what you call it, plug here, just in that through of the blue box, because in the socket of that outlet here is a switch. So as I'm using a speaker, the switch should be activated. Therefore, I need to have something sticking in that socket.
Yeah.
So, switch on. Boom. The problem is I have the blue box connected to the one to our studio setup. Maybe I can I get there? Maybe I can, maybe not. This is ripping a studio apart. Yeah. Who knows if this cable will survive, but I do my very best. I have an idea. I pull from this end, or I pull from this end. So this now goes into this side. And guitar cable. I can play my real deal guitar cable. So, well, the tuner is my mute, and now I'm pedalboard, guitar, not too bad for a strat that I played last Saturday. Why is it so low? Let me try. Yeah, here we go. That's my pedalboard. Oh, a scratchy pot and all that stuff. What else can I say? Okay, what can go wrong? That's a typical question. One of the typical things is when I'm getting more complex into this setting, when the small stone is in use, because there is no like real indication. Sometimes it's there and then you go. Yeah, something. Maybe I plugged. I'm not sure if the speaker cable is something correct. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what happens here is this thing is always over the place, and I sometimes have the Wampler in here, and this is kind of sensitive because because these pedals I just bring in on this special preset number 7. My standard preset doesn't use all the pedals.
Yeah.
This one is even gone. So there is no Reusenszehn is switched off for the last, I think, three years. At the beginning I thought I need it, and then I like it, and then there was the day where I switched it off and said, oh, this sounds actually better. Which doesn't mean that the Reusenszehn is a great device, but it's not needed on my setup anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's like a historical collection of things that ended up on the pedalboard, and some of the stuff is actually obsolete by now.
Yeah. What's this? Is it a homemade pedal? Is it a minus booster or something?
No, it is a buffer. Kind of at the very beginning, it's just a buffer. It doesn't make much difference. It's just a good sounding buffer. Yeah, and there is my. That's the real tube, which is a overdrive. I'm using this on top of the vintage channel. Like this is the vintage channel, and this makes even more gain. And this more gain is, how to describe, sometimes these knobs are not right, but I can always go back to my amp 1 because that's a simple setting. It's kind of middle position and gain all the way up, and so I'm kind of safe. But all the extra pedals have too many knobs that can go wrong. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do we have any more questions? Because I wanted to show you a long, nice video too. What if I am not loud enough? I often make amp1 louder using my foot turning up the master volume. A bigger knob would be nice. Yeah, I tell you my story about volume. If you go on stage, the first comment you get is, the guitar is too loud. And guess what? I feel the same when there's nobody in the room, and when you had your afternoon tea, or you know, a relaxed, quiet ride in the car, civilized. The moment you are on stage with the audience, there's a total different energy in the room, in everybody in the room, in the musicians, and soundcheck based on that afternoon level with has nothing to do with reality, because if your drummer plays for real, you will be lost. So my how you describe it, my rule of thumb is I'm always at 5. Sorry guys, that's my volume. Some people are always at 4 or 3 or 6. I don't care, but remember where this band is in volume. And then I go there maybe for the soundtrack. I just be half or maximum 1 digit lower. But I ask the guy at the PA, give me headroom. And when he says, give me your loudest sound, I do it really short, because no, it's way too loud. It's just like, hey, I'm honest, I know what I'm doing this professionally. You need to have that certain volume in a band, otherwise it's a joke. And when the show is over, I always end up with the same settings anyhow. So why not start the show with the real volume and stay there? The drummer is not getting louder if it's a good drummer, because he plays consistent. But there is a certain volume that always happens in a particular band, and I'm honest to the guys and said, this is how it is. I try to play a little bit less aggressive during soundcheck, but if there's not a headroom, you can't speak. It's like you will be lost, and it's not helping anybody. Even if the PA guy says, I cannot work with the signal, it's too loud from stage. It's always the same. The band doesn't sound right. And it's not to upset the engineer or the audience. In the end, everybody loves it. And that's why I love to play my 112 fat cap, because there's a natural limit to the volume of this one cabinet. It has only one 12-inch speaker. And that's loud enough, but not too loud.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to volume. Helmut, I think it was coming from Helmut.
Yeah, there was another interesting question from David, and this is going to be some pedalboard troubleshooting, I think. He says, can you help me, Thomas? When I connect the cable on my pedalboard, no sound comes out of the amp. But when I use both cables separately, they work. What could be the reason?
Well, you have a connection from your cable through the pedalboard to the input of your amp. And the only way to troubleshoot issues like that is step by step. Guitar into amp works. The first cable that connects the input of the amp going back to like the last thing in chain, and then you plug in your guitar on the input of that device. Double check if that works. If that works, go back and have the next in line and check that. And then you end up with, the whole pedalboard in the end. But you can't go and say, works, doesn't work. It is, each step can cause the problem. And then usually it is the cables, because the connectors, the plugs corrode. Then there's sometimes they break because the soldering joints, when stuff is like flying around, like in my pedalboard, there's mechanical stress on the cables here, and then the solder joints break. So that's another thing. Bring a spare speaker cable, bring a spare guitar cable, and maybe bring a spare patch cable. That might help. And I have another thing in my, is it in my gig bag? Because that's my secret weapon. It should be on the bottom. Now I'm not good. Maybe I am, maybe not. Let's see. At the very bottom is my... No, it's not there. See? That's a big mistake. Because I have one adapter that can help to fix almost anything. Which is now in the video studio. And it is somewhere. I tell you what it is. It is a female to female 1/4 inch adapter. Because if there's a pedal that's not working, you can simply unplug the two in and out and put that adapter in between, and then
connect the two pedals either side, and then you're good.
Or you can also go straight from one pedal into another pedal. But sometimes then the length of the pedal, the cables, is not enough to go from this input socket to this input socket.
Yeah.
Therefore, this kind of... see, I have to buy another one. That's the thing, since I've started to do video stuff, there's always like, we need that adapter, and then it disappears. Okay, put that on my list. Needs to be back in my gig bag. Because that thing is helped so many times. The cable is not long enough. Bam, you have this. You put two cables together, it works. It's a universal great tool. So volume, cable, troubleshoot. What else? Are the power stages of mercury and iridium different? Yes, they are, very much. Mr. Bot 4712. There is, by the way, we have this BluGuitar knowledge base. www.blugipedia. You came up with a name. It wasn't us. It was in one of the Academy of Tones.com, blugipedia.com. If you have questions like that, put them in there and you will find an answer. If not, complain there and we will write you the answer there. That helps me and you. BluGuitar. And on BluGuitar you also find the sound finder. And I saw some requests for Soldano. I've done that, so it will be there pretty soon.
Yep. Ollie says, is the plan for you to at some point replace this entire board with the Ampex?
Sure.
Everything that's on here will
everything
become obsolete in a way.
Yeah. That's my personal goal. And all these pedals will be in Ampex, and then my new pedal board. My new pedal board looks like this. We need to get some expression pedals for this one. That's another topic I'm working on. So that's my new pedal board. With expression pedal, it's less than a third. It's like maybe a quarter of the old pedal board. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it will remove a number of potential issues that we've talked about today.
Well,
I mean, firstly, you've got the weight and the size. I mean, how much does this board weigh on its own? It must be 15 kilograms, something like that?
17, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, so it's a weighty thing. It's big as well. And what does the Ampex weigh? 5
kilos,
5 kilograms,
or
right?
less.
Yeah.
Compared to this, nothing.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And the biggest thing is the patch cables will be gone, and it's fully programmable, which means the settings of my pedals will be stored into the preset, so nothing can go wrong on that side.
Yeah, and also if you have different drives, and you decide you want to stack them in a different direction, then you can simply do that, right?
I can do certain things. I cannot do all the things. That's something in the analog world. That's something we have to make clear. In the analog world here, I can do anything. I have hundreds of pedals and I can do a lot of nonsense. In the MX, I had to come up with something like, okay, I need a wah, I need that drive, I need a booster, I need a tape echo, I need another delay here, I need maybe stereo, blah, blah, blah. In all these kind of cases, I put on a big list, and then I came up with an idea how to arrange things that it actually works since we are analog. So what I can't do is I cannot flip the order of the wah-wah and the drives. I have options to do stuff like that on the digital domain, but I'm so proud to be all analog on MX. So there is a more or less classic order in the analog domain. And on the digital domain, I can do anything. And in case we have some special cases, we have to solve those digitally. But I always have that rule of, with my thing, I can do 99% of what's needed in this planet. And the rest, you have to have a special solution, which this is by nature. And the MX is already there. And then the special solution, if you still need on top of what is already there, a special solution, it's still possible.
Exactly. You can use the X-Wings with the amp,
Yeah.
put a wire pedal on one side,
Yeah.
put a special pedal of your choice that might not be within the Ampex on the other side.
Yes,
Poo Ninja asks,
there's X-Wings.
Poo Ninja says, can we put X-Wings onto more X-Wings in case we're never satisfied? Which is a good question.
I tell you something. It is great to have two X-Wings, one left and one right. And when they are not enough, you can still build your own pedalboard of any size. Just imagine you would have the MX on this pedalboard. You have so much real estate to play around next level. So there's a huge universe that you can create. And maybe you can have even two MXs. I've never had that, but it's, we can go to the summit and peak. You never know what creativity will lead us to. My world is pretty easy because I will have only one pedal, and this you just saw it. It's that little thing, and this is my car has so much room. Then it's great. Hey, by the way, the beer I brought from the tour, because it's not a local beer, it's a Krombacher. Backstage beer, you put it in your gig bag for the hotel because mini bars are too expensive. And then you don't drink it anyhow because you had already two while doing the show. So I have to drink it now.
That's another insider tip, I suppose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Get your free beer as long as you are in the venue.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about the venue, I mean, we've done the guitar stuff now, we've done the pedalboard stuff as well, but every venue is also different, right? So when it comes to setting up at sound check, if you've got, you might have stage monitors, you might have, in your case, a nano cab to be your monitor for you. How do you work with the different venues to make that work?
Yeah, for me, it's with what I sound like. My settings on the amp vary only very little. The treble from 4 to 5, the middle from 4 to 5. So it was kind of both on 4 on the last gig because it was kind of a bright place. So I kind of reduce the mids and the highs a little bit. Sometimes I need the mids in the middle and just reduce the highs. Sometimes I just reduce the mids. That depends on the reflections in the room. But all the rest is always the same. The master volume changes from band to band, but somehow it is with playing with an orchestra. I have to go like very low, like to 3, and playing outdoors festival, I sometimes go to 6.5. This is where my fat cap is maxed out. Anything louder will not come out of the cabinet.
Yeah.
It will, and then after 7 it will kill the cabinet. So it will compress and kill. So I'm I'm always there. It's like 5. It's my volume, and then I probably go 5.5, maximum 6. That's all indoors. And I'm more concerned about where I place my cabinet on stage. I never use any guitar on the monitor. I actually don't have monitor most of the time. Only when I do backing vocals in the Rock Anarchy, and in the early days I refused to have. I was singing out of tune anyway. Why give me a monitor so I hear how crap my vocals are? By now I got a bit better. So if you give me a monitor, I actually can sing in tune. And but I don't want anything on my monitor. I don't need drums. I don't need bass or kick or whatnot. I have ears, and the guitar comes from this place, and it's loud enough. So I don't need that. And for me, the experience is less is more, because you never know what the sound guy is doing, and then it's like too loud, and you try to escape. So I know what I'm doing, and I can focus on my playing much more when I know quick adjust 1 sec and then forget about it. The main point is, where do I place the cabinet on stage? Because if you put it behind you, facing straight at the front of house guy, he always will tell you, guitar, too much guitar. And the trick is to put the guitar cabinet maybe a little bit on the side of the facing inwards, so the sound guy is not getting the straight, but I can move on the stage in a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
That's my way of doing that.
Yeah.
And I place the cabinet on the floor, since I'm a rock player and I want that extra low end.
Yep.
Other people prefer to have cabinets a bit higher, have more mid-range, less bottom end. Okay, fair enough. Not my thing. Some people sometimes even put the fat cap on the side, and then you have the bass portation option to have it connected to the floor for the extra low end, or you turn it the other way and then you have less. There's so many options.
What about when it comes to different size rooms? Are you doing much when it comes to kind of how each room sounds? Does it take a lot of time to sort that out?
Yes and no. If you get too much into that thing, you are distracted too much. It's like, okay, I know this one is an easy one and this one is shit now. Hope it sounds better when the people come in. That's my quick. And don't get distracted by, oh, it could be, and last night it was so great. And it is so different when people are in there anyhow. And then if you think too much, your playing is affected by the wrong information. So it's kind of, I can hear when I'm connected with my cabinet and the drums. So that's the main thing. And if the sound, it will be different when the people come in. And luckily we have enough people. The dampening factor is is okay with my bands.
Yeah. So the final factor that we had on our list to talk about then was actually when the people come in. And what happens when you start playing the gig and then something goes wrong? And I'm sure you have plenty of stories from history and also from the most recent tour.
Sure.
Of things that went a bit wrong.
Well, the first thing is don't panic. Anything that happens can put a smile on your face, because it's like, what's going on? Well, they are humans. They don't expect everything to be perfect. So sometimes it's even exciting for the audience to see what happens. So what happened with me at the last gig is I played, and when I broke the 2 strings on my 61 Strat, maybe I can show, that we've seen in the picture, I thought, you know what? Let's replace, and then there was no time. It was in the break between 2 songs, so I managed to change 5 of 6 strings, and then I got lazy and left the high E string. And I thought, oh, this might last for the rest of the tour. But it didn't. Last gig on the tour, the high E string broke, because that was the only string that I didn't put a new on. And this was just before my I Won't Forget performance, which is kind of my highlight at the night, where I can do my Thomas Blug shines all the way through kind of thing. And I didn't want to play the spare guitar, because I played that guitar all night, and that was one. So what I do is I make an announcement in front of the people, and what actually happened is, you can see, the camera can't see, the ball end of the old string still is stuck in there, because I tried very hard to get it out, but the string is bent here and breaks here. So it is stuck in, and I did an announcement, and I told the story and everything, and I tried to get this out, and I couldn't. The way to get it out would have been to use a low E string, like the big stiff one, stick it in from the top to the bottom, and then eventually it gets out,
Yeah.
and then you have a fresh new high E string coming through. Now I have 2 ball ends in there. I don't care, but on my next gig, when I break a string here, I might go for the 3rd one. You never know. No, but I think that's something I should take care before I really play my next proper gig.
Yeah.
So what do I do when I don't panic, and what I do is I try to make the best out of it without losing the contact to the audience. I think the biggest problem is if everybody in the audience is like waiting for something to happen. Nobody knows nothing. Even the guys on stage know nothing. It's like, maybe we cannot play the end of the show. Everything is broken. My career is over. And the audience feels with the artist. And it's like, a lot of tension in the room. So if you kind of go easy with the whole thing and say, okay, drum solo because another bass string is broken or whatever, you can make fun of the whole thing. And if the drum solo is not long enough, this is something what I have done on the show. I steal one of the drumsticks of the drummer, so he has to continue with only one stick, and he comes up with fresh ideas for a few minutes. Then I give back the second stick, and then he, it's all things that happens that are great for the audience, that gives me more time to fiddle around and check where the problem is. Here, another thing, if you come to the point where you feel it's kind of too complex to solve the issue now, do the super simple thing, guitar, amp, done.
Yeah.
Don't even think about all your effects. You always can play without all the whistles and bells, because you know the songs, you have a guitar, and in case of amp 1 you have 3 channels, that's plenty. And if there's no delay, there's no delay. And it will be good anyhow, but don't let this kind of depress you in a way. So that's So that's possible. And I'm getting lazy too. I don't have a spare amp sometimes with me. Maybe you should have a spare amp when you play good gigs. But this board simply works, and it has proven to work all the time. So, well, yeah. I sometimes have an amp in the car, and to be honest, on the last gig I forgot it. So I didn't have a spare amp. But we are two guitar players, and maybe there's another band. Things can happen. But yeah, no big deal. Of course, I would feel sorry. But if I would have a broken amp1, I would use my phone and would say, "Hey, who lives here? who, we somebody has an amp1." Or I could play anything.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe somebody in the crowd even brought one for you to sign it afterwards or something, and
or
you plug into that, and then it's worth more.
I mean, I even could go and have my Wempler, whatever, Plexi drive and plug this into anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be something, but I could finish the gig. I mean, I had to play PVMs, which was hard for me. Not saying that all PVMs I don't like, but I had to play, I don't know what model it was, but this was a tough one. They had so much honk mid-range, and how to dial it out was a challenge for me. And but still that kind of worked. Not elegant, but it worked.
Yeah. So would you recommend always that someone has a spare amp with them if they can? Or
Yeah.
at least some kind of pedal version, because there are lots of digital options
devices.
which are as big as a small pedal.
I mean these days you can have an amp pedal or just a preamp pedal, something that goes into your gig bag or whatever in your carry-on luggage, or have an amp1, because that's a proper amp, and that's basically all you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have two more things that I have noted myself before the episode. Hum. There's the big hum thing when you go on stage, and your pedalboard was fine at home. Most of the time, it's the guitar. When you're an experienced player, you know that, because it's like, there is hum. Hum differs from venue to venue, and the most common thing is the electromagnetic field that comes through the pickups, and that's the hum that you hear. So sometimes you have to move the guitar in angle this way or that way. You stand on stage like this, and this is where the audience is, and you always look like there, because when you turn, the good old dimmer packs were the worst. But now with the LEDs, the most of the dimmer packs disappeared, because they were nightmare. Then another thing that you could face is a ground loop, which connects the PA system with your pedal board in a way. Well, if you have a blue box, there's a ground lift. So put the ground lift the ground, and that's not a problem anymore. If you don't have something like this and go directly out of whatever device, use a DI box.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my DI box? Next room. That's a helpful tool. The PA guy usually have stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they are halfway professional.
Yeah.
If not, get one. They're not expensive, and the iBox is a good tool.
Yeah.
And get a passive one, the one where it's just a transformer, no power. The iBox bullshit. And if you have hum, move away from whatever transformers, dimmer packs, or whatever other amps from your colleagues that have this electromagnetic things. Sometimes you can experiment also with your power cord, with your power outlet and cord. If there is no ground, use a different power outlet. That might help. That's something. And if there's too much hiss and other things, use less gain, if possible. Yeah. Or make sure your mobile phone is not in your pocket.
Yep.
That's another classic, you know. The mobile phone in the pocket and the guitar just on top of it. Or and then the cowl comes in. Yeah, a general rule is always, if there's a problem, less is more. Don't try to strive for the ultimate things. Get practical, get something working, and focus on the music again.
Yeah, and it's always good to remember that the more stuff you have, the more you bring with you, the more that you have that can go wrong.
Exactly.
And in my experience and in your vastly greater experience, things that can go wrong at some point
They go wrong.
will go wrong.
Yeah, they will go wrong.
Yeah.
And I've seen everything. I mean, from female singers that's high heels, bam, out the cable. This is why I locked that thing here. Or another male singer with, I don't know what shoes he had. He was jumping on the cable and cut it. One jump, done. This was the end. Okay, that's why you need a spare guitar cable. You never know. I mean, only if the solder joint gets loose, that's the end of the cable, and you don't have the time to heat up a soldering iron. And where is it, your soldering iron? You know, in 5 minutes. No, you should have a second guitar cable, because that thing is being used and it's stressed. And get good. That's something. Get good cables. Get no plastic connectors. That's a good investment, because once you've been there with cheap guitar cables and stuff, and you had a failure, you learn that you want stuff that you can trust.
Yeah.
And that's, by the way, I'm not using my favorite guitar cable anymore, which is the Flex, because it's so stiff. It breaks, and it breaks only every year and a half when I play it every show. But there is the day when it breaks, and you never know when it will be, and you can't fix it like upfront, because maybe it doesn't break. So you don't know. But it happened so many times that I decided I'm using this Joe Bonamassa by Klotz 6-meter cable, which is so far pretty solid. Let's see how long this will last. But it survived the last year and a half.
Yeah. How can less be more? More is more.
That's Yngwie Malmsteen, of course.
That is also true.
Yeah, but this is I think Yngwie is about drama. That's his music, and I kind of like that in a way. But on the other hand, is when there is a problem, why be drama? I mean, you can do the whole drama thing like Ritchie Blackmore, have the camera and kill the cameraman, have the guitar, and he did stuff like that, and getting upset and leave the stage and have the band play the rest of it. But you need to be Ritchie to do that. If you are Peter Meyer or Müller in the band, and if you play Ritchie, that's probably the end of your career. People like Ritchie Blackmore, Yngwie Malmsteen, they already have invested so much to be able to play such a role, to be the diva.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And also, if you're Yngwie, you have guys side stage who are ready for any moment when you do something silly.
Yeah, and you can throw the guitar. Somebody has to catch it. If there's nobody, who cares? Because you have another 25 of those 71 strats with the Ferrari logo. One more, doesn't care. But you also have somebody to blame. But if there's nobody, it's only you. So you better have a positive vibe about what you're doing instead of the other thing. Yeah, anyway, that's drama is good for TV, not so much for real life. I totally agree, yes.
Spot on, yeah. And you've got to learn to look after yourself. You've got to learn to be able to sort this stuff out on your own as well. Because when you're up there on stage, normally nobody else who's going to fix it for you.
Yeah, because how could? Because the knowledge that is in a pedal board, it's so complex. Even super experienced people like myself, dealing with that stuff for decades, if I have to troubleshoot somebody else's pedal board in a live situation, it's like too much. It's like, okay, I get this, and it is complex. And simplify when there's an issue, AC/DC style, simplify the songs. Use 3 chords instead of 20. Less can go wrong. Or make art with it, make jazz. Hum his feedback, smash the guitar. Okay, that's maybe entertaining too. Or bring a laptop. Yeah, but I tell you the thing about laptop, I had that too. I have my laptop and the interfaces and the hardware of the laptop interfaces is not stable. Maybe things are better now, but this goes back. I was there and the guitar was not in sync because of digital jittering and analog crackling. Laptop. I have a laptop. I have my own. My Marshalls are also available in the Cubase. If you have Cubase, you have those amps, basically. It's not official, but it's in there. My name is on the Cubase list, but and it sounds pretty good. But I use this to scratch ideas, but that's not my stage kind of thing.
Yeah.
I rather go with a simple pedal that does it. In the worst case, I take one of my pedals here. I would take the Plexi drive, since I'm a Plexi guy, plug it into anything and roll the highs somewhere where I can live with it and play.
Yeah. But that's a good idea for a future Academy of Tone. Bring in someone who uses a laptop for live gigs.
Yeah.
Bring in you.
Yeah.
And fight.
Of course, always fight.
Everyone will enjoy that.
Yeah. And by the way, there is nothing wrong about laptops and that things. For me, it's just when to use it. I wrote and recorded a whole album on my laptop 15 years ago and made money with it. And it sounded great. But being on stage is a different thing. Here, there's one story from the tour. Kempen, there was a guy that came and said, I wanted to check out the Amp 1 and maybe I can come for sound check. I said, okay, yeah, no problem. You come. So then everybody sets up the gear on stage. And then he said, yeah, I have a camper and I play in a Whitesnake tribute band and, experienced guy or good. I played the modeling thing for the last 10 years. So we set up the stuff, fat cap. We played 2 bars. The guy goes, ooh. Okay. And it took 5 seconds. And then he realized there's something different. And then he left like, okay, now I know. No words needed. The physical experience, what we could deliver with our pedal amps versus what he is playing with his system based on a Kemper. I'm not saying Kemper is bad, but on his system was like he knew what time it is. 5 seconds. That was also a nice experience on the show. And the other nice experience on the last gig was we were at a festival in Bremerhaven, and the guy of the band that was playing after us from Belgium, sorry I forgot the name, came and said, "Hey, I have seen many of these and once lately. They're supposed to be quite cool." I said, "No, maybe. My colleague has the other one, the silver one. Ben was playing a silver. I had the mercury." Okay, cool. And then, sound check done, or plug in done, and then we played. Wow, this sounds really good. And then, and I said, you're playing the Fender Bassman?" "Yeah, yeah. My clean channel is. I have a Bassman Blackface 64. Yeah, yeah, 64. I know exactly what you. Well, and one and by the way, I'm the guy. Oh, so anyway, this is meeting people, and it was fun. It was fun. And now I think we can show the nice long video. If we have last question here, Helix Storm, small all in. Yes, I mean it's a
Yeah, as a backup, that
backup.
would, that
Always
would totally do the job. Yeah.
There's are you using in-ears and the speaker cabinet for live feel vibe? I'm using no in-ears. I use my ears, but that's how I grew up, and I still love that old school feel. I do understand why singers love in-ears. I was never happy with in-ears. There's I'm dependent. You have to make your own monitor mix. Some people are very happy with in-ears, and which is great for them. But for me, I always love to be on stage and come closer to the drums and have a bit more of the drums. And there's a physical experience with a real speaker that drives the air molecules to my eardrum, and not with a in-ear. Anyway. Okay, I think that's all the questions for
Yeah,
today.
the one last one I see is, and I've seen it a few times, do you have any of your Strat's wiring diagrams anywhere? On the Blugipedia or the Soundfinder? Anything about the dummy coil, or is that top secret information?
No, it's not top secret. I don't have it. Do I? Let's put it that way. I will put it on Blugipedia in the next days, so next week. I think at the moment you can probably find it on Andreas Kloppmann. Kloppmann Electrics is his website, because I have a signature set, which is in the BluGuitar, blah blah blah, and there is a schematic of that. I think it's on his website. I'll do it on Blugipedia, which is obvious. Yeah, let's put it there. Okay, and to close this episode, I show you a visit of a nice German music store, which is actually pretty big, with a lot of gear in all the departments. But we were just in the guitar department. And, well, watch the whole thing, because it's kind of interesting to see that store and how many guitars and pedals they offer. And we've been there in the early morning, so there's not that many other people with us. But we ended up, of course, in the custom shop, and then I was just wandering around with the camera, and then I saw Ben checking out some Gold Top 57 Les Pauls, 2 of them, so we could compare, and the 59 Gibson reissue. Very good guitars, and there was again an experience when I listened when he played and when I played, and then especially when I played myself, it was so different. So I first thought, oh, this guitar is killer. Then when I played this, no, sorry, it's the other way around. But anyway, this was another lesson again. So sometimes you think, I know it because I can hear blah, blah, blah. And I'm so experienced. No, it is only true if you do what it's really about. If you play it, then you hear how you sound with that instrument.
Yes, and just on that note, for anyone interested in that kind of thing, there was a pretty interesting video by a YouTuber called Rhett Shull recently, who we know by now, and he goes to try and find the perfect Les Paul for him in America, in Norms maybe, and he goes with Tim Pierce, and they both play loads of different guitars, and it sounds very, very different to hear these two guys playing the exact same instruments.
Yeah, the touch is so different, and therefore, if you know people, and if you know their style, you can kind of recalculate a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the end, you have to play the thing.
Yeah.
And then I even have to go a step further. It's like if you are in the zone, then you can still optimize the setup job for your strings and your string height and whatnot, and pickups. And only if everything is at the perfect position, you can make the final decision.
Yeah.
Especially when you buy such expensive guitars.
Yeah.
So is he buying a real old one?
No, he ends up buying a custom shop reissue, I think.
Oh.
But you'll have to watch it on his channel.
Yeah. I mean, I was impressed on the quality that is available lately. It wasn't like that with Gibson, but the ones that you can see in the video right now, or at the end of the video, they were pretty good, I have to say. I'm very happy about mine. But not that bad, but hey, how much? 8,000 whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they get super expensive, and if you get a, like a personally aged one, a Tom Murphy Labs aged one, it can be way over 10,000 euros.
So my stuff is cheaper and maybe better because it's a real 1968 Les Paul with a beautiful gold top finish done by Matthias Schindehütte. No? I'm sorted with guitars. I'm happy. Somehow it's like it's exciting to go to the music store, checking out the great stuff, and then not buying anything, which is not good for the shop, but it's good for me because it's like I know I got my shit. I'm happy. It's like I can spend my time, my money for something else.
Well, there's one thing that you don't have in your collection that you do need, and that's a Strandberg. You don't have any headless guitars. Time to come into the 21st century.
Okay, we take the 61 and cut it off.
Yeah. Or just a Gibson, drop that and then...
Yeah.
That's a headless Les Paul.
That's a 5-minute job.
Yeah, exactly.
Bomb. Yeah. On my wish list, there is like a Super Strat Van Halen style. Because I got Alex's one, but I think that's the only one in this direction I have. So I will have maybe one with like two classic 57 humbuckers and maybe a bit more modern tremolo with it. That's one version. And then I want one that is really hot for Van Halen and more style. So that's on my wish list maybe. Yeah. But besides that, I have no... What is it? Gear syndromes.
Gas.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, the hollow pedal is nice. No, for those, this is going here.
It's the Andy Timmons.
Andy Timmons,
signature,
yeah, my friend Andy Timmons. which actually is on my wish list too, to make something with Andy Timmons. We know each other for for 20 or 30 years already, and I mean, he's the greatest, or one of the greatest guitar players in my universe. Yeah, and that pedal sounds good, but I'm not in. I don't want a clone. I have my tube screamer, which I don't want. Yeah, I wonder if there is a clone that is so authentic that you cannot tell the difference from the original one. I'm sure it is possible. I'm getting into this with MX, so I don't have to worry about an extra pedal anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, sometimes I think it's like so much voodoo talk, which creates so much money, and then in the end it's like not so. Yeah. Anyway, maybe Kiesel. Yeah, Kiesel. Something modern. Yeah, that's a little bit lacking in my arsenal. But yeah, that's coming eventually.
Yeah. So now we can watch you walking around this store and not getting any gas for anything at all. That's what I understand.
It's nice to watch and feel, but it's like I didn't buy anything. A coffee. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining in today. Watch the rest of this episode. Next week I'll do the Hendrix deep dive. If you have anything, let us know here. Comments for Hendrix. If you have any specific topics, I already have a list done myself, because it's like I thought just of Hendrix and it's instant there. It's like, where is it? Jimi Hendrix. So I have my CDs, DVDs. I have some columns that have been written. I have read the biography, The School of Rock, My Summer of Love guitar. Yeah, then we can talk about the vibes, uni vibe versus other vibes, wah-wah pedals. I have my Hendrix board. If you have anything else, let me know, and we talk Hendrix next week.
Yes.
Okay, doke. Then, hey guys, enjoy the rest and see you guys very soon. Cheers. Guys, we are approaching.
We have very little time. So I need
Yeah.
to check some other stuff too.
Yeah. We always have very little time. And this guy has no timing.
Where are we?
He is the drummer.
Thomas, where are we now?
We are, lost in space.
In space. Oh,
Musik produktiv. And this is the Eingang. And we used to play here a lot. Morning, Jimmy. Jimmy. Morning. So, the history of a great and big German music store. This is the wrong department, definitely, for us.
this is right.
This is right. You play right cymbals or crash cymbals? Is this
All the symbols.
all the cymbals? You are a simple player, a very simple player.
Oh, wrong.
Bye bye. So, here are some pedals.
Moin.
Ja. Guck mal hier.
Bei euch?
Genau, moin. You are in the video. Tag auch.
Hi, Olaf.
Tag. Moin, die Herren.
Jo.
So. Do we need picks? No,
Ja, war gut gestern.
we don't need picks.
Ihr seid wieder unterwegs.
The pedal, guck mal hier, we can see. Frank Fleckensteins FFX There's a honey over hive. This is a typo, I'm sure. So, wow. Okay, what else can we see here? That's the pointy department for the metal guys. Let me count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 string. Man, that's definitely too much for me. Okay, ESP, classics. Yeah, what else do we see? Yeah, Schecter. Ibanez, and tons of Boss pedals. Yeah, Boss multiprocessors, Katana, cheesy entry-level amps. Yeah, this seems to be the entry-level department. Setup job. Moin. Okay. There's Epiphone. There's Gibson. Any expert 2000 for Les Paul. Well, doesn't have any pickup covers. That's why it's cheap. No. Anyway, joking. Then Jellicoe. Something different. That's also cool. Okay, let's see what we have here on this side. Okay, Wolfgang Special Van Halen's. To be honest, I kind of like that guitar. How much is it? Oh, 900 only. But I think there's a more expensive version of that. Cool. Is that the one? No, it's even cheaper. Ah, that's Lefty. Okay, vintage. And there's my signature model. Hey! I'm not tall enough. I need to check it later to see. That's a Thomas Blug signature model. How cool is that? Vintage Squire, Fender. Okay. Fender. Old one. Yeah. Oh, what is it? Japan made traditional Telecaster. Well, I'm sorted. I have a great. Hey, this store has a lot of lefty guitars. I'm impressed. That's not such a classic. Maybe they have a lefty salesman here, or they have a heart for sales for left-handed guitars. Cool. Fender straps. More straps. Let's have a look. I've done these pedals already. Walrus Audio. Then Paisley Wampler, another classic. Can we see that? Yeah. Sovereign. The little plexi drive. Another red classic.
I already bought the buffer.
You got one?
Yeah.
Which one did you buy?
JHS, the little black buffer from JHS.
And you recommended it
Yes,
because you played yourself?
I tried it.
You tried it. Okay.
I didn't have any other small print.
See, this is a competent salesman in a German music shop. Produktiv.
And a lazy buyer who doesn't bother to try it.
Deal done. Okay, yeah.
Best combination ever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, happy days on both sides.
Yes.
As it should be. Okay, I continue with my pedal rally here. Maestro came out with that kind of series of pedals. That's kind of nice. Okay, there's the Proco Red, Monterey, Dark Side. Ah, this is the theme pedals. Pink Floyd, Dark Side. Keeley, genau, the Keeley department. Ah, they have this little plexi pedal. What was? So this seems to be the sweet cream. I remember there was one plexi. Maybe that's the one. I don't know. Tone City. That's probably not it. This is a low gain drive, which I liked. What else do we have? Okay, the Nux or New X, whatever that company is called. One Control. They have a lot of buffers. And here's a German Verzerrer. The Verzerrer. Yeah, these we know. Department 10, Black Star. Ah, talking about Black Star, nobody has the Empt1 here? Ja. Die haben so einen neuen Empt1 gemacht, die haben mich kopiert.
Ja,
Den habt ihr aber noch nicht.
den hatten wir schon, aber der ist schon wieder weg.
Okay, kann der was?
Ich habe ihn nicht ausprobiert.
Okay, schade. Ich würde
Also
nämlich
im
aus.
Prinzip ist das eine Endstufe.
Ja, ich weiß, ja, alles gut.
Wie gesagt, du bist heute gerade, das ist auch ein Model auch noch was davor zu hängen, dafür ist der. Also nicht so was wie du hast, also das ist schon was anderes.
Alles klar,
Der
okay.
heißt nur so.
Der heißt, okay. He says the Empt1 is only named like my product, but it's not like my product. So, yeah. Anyway. Ah, here, cool. The Friedman, yeah. Special discount. Well, maybe you should buy it now. Crybaby Mini. Let's see this one. Yeah, that's cool. Crybaby Mini. Bogner Mini Ecstasy. The mini pedals. The whammy pedal. I have one of those myself. Wawas. Kirk Hammett drive. Then, yeah, the big Ecstasy Bogner pedal.
Ja, anscheinend muss es dann tatsächlich nach Berlin gehen, das geht auch nicht anders.
Yeah, pickups, bare knuckle. You know what? I go downstairs and have a quick look. What's going on here? Ding, ding, ding. The amp rooms, do they still exist? So, Bogner, I think I played this the last time I was here, the Shiva. But yeah, they have a nice selection of amps. This one, Goldfinger. Ah, okay, that's the new Soldanos, the small. And Friedman JJ. 5153, 3S. Ah, here 34s. Classic Marshall GVM. Steven Redson. Magnaton. Boris Smith. Kettner. Friedman. Blackstar. Ice. Orange. So. Ref. Yeah, generator. This is a 100p, and then there's the 120, which I like. Angle, Victory, Kong. Haha. Aha. Some people were involved in Kong. Ah, and this is the Frayette power station. Yeah, this is a thing to get independent master volume for classic tube amps. And here you can see the big MP switching rack. And they use this switcher, where is it? Here. This is the switcher. So here you can select between which cabinet, which amplifier, and you can try them all. I've spent some time here when I did my, I think, Mercury edition, or even before with the first Amp1 Silver edition, checking my product versus the rest of the shop's products, which is cool. Okay, then this is the combo room. This is a Goldfinger. I like that one. Ding, ding, ding. Buchner. Another Goldfinger. Buchner is very well presented here. Some angle combos, Vox combos. Nice room. Next room.
Shopping tour.
Yeah, shopping tour. Tone King Supo. It's the same guy, David Coltai, who's doing the pedals. Pigtronics, that's the same company. And here we have more Friedman pedals, Magnatone. Combos, Fender, A Classic DeVille, Vox, AC20, and a nice little Fender. Looks nice, maybe sounds not so exciting. At least that was my last experience. Yeah, and this looks like some product is sold. Yeah. Well, I don't have the time for a big A/B session here, but might be doing this next. While we're here, the acoustic department, very quick, just to get an impression. Ding, ding. Hi.
Hello.
Moin. So. Yeah. Too many guitars, too many options. Of course. Here they are. Yeah, the expensive stuff, huh? Yeah. Rockstars.
It's good stuff.
The custom shop. Ooh. That's some nice crackling here. Looks just like mine. Yeah, need to try.
Something that I'm really interested in.
Horace Smith.
I was playing a gig with Hendrix. Now we have the same as Bob. He also has the guy. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I got one. You gave me a very good gig, thanks for that. And it's still my best Les Paul ever.
So, which is the best Les Paul in this room?
Both go tops,
Yeah,
and that's 59.
the 59. Shall we try, Ben? Come, for a second. You make the player, and I do the video. So from your perspective, which gold top you prefer? This one or the other one?
They're both great.
Both great. Okay.
Very, very similar.
Here, there's a Fender amp or something to plug in, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Ben. There's the pedals, also pedals. So, yeah. So 57, yeah, looking good.
Sounding better.
Can we check the other one?
Oh, what?
The other gold top. Just Almost the same thing. Let's check if consistent quality by Gibson the thing.
Maybe you want to hit that dirty Shirley pedal.
This one?
Yeah, that's. Okay, which one? This one or this
I
one?
like that one.
Yeah, the first,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
that's
too. And now the 59. Come on, we make the shootout at least 3 Les Pauls in 3 minutes. But yeah, the first one has more twang
Yeah.
and similar character, but the first one sounded more. Hey.
It felt better.
Okay, I didn't play it, but they sound similar, but from what I heard. Hey, that's my favorite.
Very low action. And 9 string right.
Something for me.
Yeah.
This one or the other one? Which is your favorite?
The other one.
Yeah. But from the sound, there was something in the sound that I like, the openness.
Yeah, probably, but touch-wise I like that.
Okay. Well, I will check it out myself. So, can we put this somewhere here? Oder kannst du das halten?
Ja.
Pass mal auf, halt das mal auf mich. So, das Ding verfolgt mich. Okay. And let me try both guitars. Which one I would prefer?
I have to go back upstairs too.
Yeah, I'll be back. This could be a guitar for me. I just checked the other one. This. Okay. I know what that means. The neck on this one is so nice. Oh, scheiße.
Hier fängt jetzt ein rotes Lämpchen an zum Blinken.
Alles gut. Hey, I
sag's
think
nur.
this is the one that I have preferred. Gold top again. Sorry.